You ever watch a show and get that feeling like something huge just shifted, but nobody's saying it out loud yet? Yeah, that's exactly what just happened in The Boys because that death, that moment, wasn't just shock value. It was a warning. And if you're really paying attention, it completely changes what's coming next for Homelander and especially for Billy Butcher. Let's talk about it. At first glance, the death feels like just another brutal moment in a show that's known for going too far. But if you step back, it's not random at all. It's surgical. This show doesn't just kill characters, it removes pieces from the board when they're no longer useful or when their absence creates something more dangerous. And that's exactly what this death does. Because for the first time in a long time, the balance of power is completely broken. Let's start with Homelander. For most of the series, Homelander has always had one thing holding him back, not physically, but psychologically. The need to be loved, not respected, not feared, loved. That's why he smiles for the cameras. That's why he performs. That's why, even when he does something horrifying, there's always that split second where he checks, are they still on my side? But now, that restraint is fading. And this death pushes him even further over that edge. Because what people don't realize is, Homelander doesn't process loss like a normal human being. He processes it like a god who thinks he's being disrespected. So when someone important taken off the board, he doesn't grieve. He recalibrates. He becomes colder, more unpredictable, more honest, in a terrifying way. And here's the part most fans are missing. Homelander is no longer trying to fit into the world. He's starting to reshape it. That courtroom scene energy, that public approval despite obvious evil, that wasn't just a moment. That was a signal. The show is telling us, society inside the boys is now broken enough to accept him. And once that happens, there's nothing left to stop him from becoming exactly what he's always believed he is. Not a hero, not even a villain, but something above both. Now let's talk about Butcher, because this is where things get really interesting. If Homelander is evolving into something godlike, Butcher is going in the opposite direction. He's dying. And the show isn't even trying to hide it anymore. But here's the twist. His weakness is exactly what makes him the most dangerous he's ever been. Because Butcher has nothing left to lose. No future, no redemption arc, no clean ending. And when you put a man like that against someone like Homelander, you don't get a fair fight. You get chaos. But here's where the writing gets smart. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It used to be simple. Homelander killed Becca, and Butcher wanted him dead. But now, it's bigger than that. Now Butcher is starting to realize something terrifying. Even if he kills Homelander, it might not fix anything, because the system that created Homelander is still alive. Vought is still there. The public still believes. The world still wants someone like him. And that's the deeper message of the show that a lot of people overlook. The Boys has never really been about superheroes. It's about power. Who controls it, who excuses it, and who suffers because of it. So when this death happens, it's not just removing a character, it's removing a layer of illusion. It forces every remaining character to confront reality without that buffer. And for Butcher, that reality is brutal. Because now he has to ask himself, am I trying to save the world or just burn it down before I go? And if you've been watching closely, you already know the answer. Butcher has always pretended he's different from Homelander, but the truth? They're mirrors. One was raised in a lab and told he's a god. The other was broken by life and decided gods need to die. But both of them believe one thing deep down, that they're the only ones willing to do what needs to be done. That's why their final confrontation isn't going to be about strength. It's going to be about ideology. Homelander believes the world needs to submit. Butcher believes the world needs to be freed, even if it means destroying it first. And that's what this death sets up. Not just a fight, but a collision of two completely broken philosophies. Now let's get into a theory that's been building quietly, and this is where things might go even darker than people expect. What if Homelander doesn't lose? Seriously, what if the show isn't building toward his defeat, but toward his victory? Because think about it. Every season, he gets more unstable, more honest, more accepted by the public. That's not the trajectory of a villain who's about to fall. That's the trajectory of someone who's about to take over. And if that happens, what does Butcher do? A dying man, watching the worst person in the world win. That's not just tragic. That's the kind of ending this show would actually dare to do. But there's one more layer, and this is something fans are starting to pick up on, but not fully connecting yet. Ryan. He's the wild card, the one person who could become either the next Homelander or the one thing that finally stops him. And this death, it pushes Ryan closer to a decision, because now he's watching two men, one representing power without empathy and the other representing vengeance without limits, and he has to choose. So when we ask, what's next for Homelander and Butcher, the real answer is everything is collapsing toward an unavoidable end. Homelander is becoming what the world fears but also secretly wants. Butcher is becoming what the world might need but can't survive. And Ryan, he's the only one who might break the cycle or continue it. And that's why this death matters so much, not because of who died, but because of what it unlocked. There's no more pretending, no more balance, no more middle ground. We're heading into a final phase where Homelander stops hiding, Butcher stops holding back, and the world finally has to face the consequences of both. And if you really think about it, this was never going to end clean, because in a world like this, there are no heroes, just people choosing which kind of monster they're willing to live with. So yeah, that death, it wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of the real one. Everything is collapsing into one unavoidable end, and there's no clean way out anymore. Homelander is no longer pretending to be a hero. He's embracing exactly who he is, and the scariest part is the world is starting to accept him. That line between fear and loyalty has completely blurred. At the same time, Billy Butcher is running out of time, and that makes him more dangerous than ever. He's not thinking about consequences anymore. He's thinking about ending things, no matter the cost. And when you put a man with nothing left to lose against someone who believes he can't lose, what you get isn't a battle, it's destruction. This isn't about heroes versus villains anymore. It's about two extremes finally colliding with the world caught in between. And the truth is, even if one of them falls, the damage is already done. Because in The Boys, the real danger was never just power. It was how easily people learned to live with it. And now, there's no turning back. So what does this all mean for the future of The Boys? Homelander is stepping fully into his terrifying power. Butcher is pushed to his absolute limits, and the world around them is completely unraveling. There are no heroes left, only people making impossible choices in a world that's already broken. The shocking death we just saw wasn't the end of the story. It was the trigger for everything that comes next. The real battles aren't just physical, they're ideological. And with Ryan now in the mix, the stakes are higher than ever. One thing is clear, nothing will be the same. Alliances will shift, secrets will explode, and every character will have to confront the chaos they helped create. The question isn't who survives, it's what kind of world is left after it all. So buckle up, because the next chapter of The Boys is going to be darker, messier, and far more shocking than anything we've seen so far.